Thanks for tuning in to another edition of Playbook Sports Horse Report, Prime Sports Network. As we have two races to handicap today, and they're both 4-year-old and up filly and mares races. One from Gulfstream Park and one from Santa Anita. How's everything going, gentlemen?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good. Mark, how are you?
Good. We've got some warm weather down here right now. Good for good for me. I don't know about for the horses, but it's winter down here, so no complaints. The weather's really nice.
Yeah, I'm actually flying down tomorrow. I couldn't have picked a better weekend. I saw it was going to be like 72 and 73 on the weekend.
Wrong weekend.
We're getting 16 inches of snow in Saratoga.
Oh, my. Okay. Forget I mentioned that, okay?
Thank you so much.
All right, before we get started, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel. If you want to see more videos just like this one, you can just click on the PSN icon on the bottom of the screen. And check out playbooksports.com. Order a full card of selections for any track. It's a $25 value. You'll receive any second track for free. This offer is for the same day's races only. All right, this first race on our two-race card today is the Grade 3 Royal Delta Stakes from Gulfstream Park. And do you know who this race is named after, John?
Royal Delta.
And who was Royal Delta, John?
She won a British Cup race. I know that because I cashed a ticket on her. That
3-time Eclipse
those
winner.
I remember.
All right, so let's take a look at, and by the way, our second race coming up will be the Grade 2 Buena Vista Stakes from Santa Anita. But let's get started. First of all, this will be race 11. It's a 1.16 miles. And as far as this race, there are 3 horses I'm going to go with here. I'm going to go with the 5, the 7, and the 8, John. The 7 to me is the obvious favorite. I'd like to be able to bump him out of there, but he's got the 8 and the 9 over his last 3 races, both wins and a runner-up. If you look at it, the only thing I'm a little bit, the concerned with is never raced at Gulfstream Park before. But he's got a very good combination, jockey trainer. Matter of fact, this trainer, the 70-year-old, won this race 3 times, 91, 95, and 97. That's how old this guy is. He's a great trainer. Ortiz, of course, is a really good rider. Anyway, the horse, 7 of 8. Actually, if you take a look at the horse's overall lifetime numbers, he's 7 of 8 with 2 wins. So there's a lot to like about him. But again, he's the obvious choice. The other 2 horses are the 5 and the 8, as I mentioned. And the 5 is 15-1, John. I like this horse here. If you look here, his last best sheet number was an 11. That one took place at this distance, actually. It's the last time he ran this distance. He also ran a career best 9 at Gulfstream Park at this distance and won the race. He's got a good trainer. He's got really good odds. He's 5 out of 6 at Gulfstream. He's 17 of 23 on a dirt fast track with 9 wins, and I'm getting 15-1. So I really like the 5. And then the other horse I mentioned is the 8, a 12-1 shot. And I think this horse is starting to get better with the new trainer. He won his last time out. He's stretching to 1.16 miles, and I think he's doing it the right way compared to the last time he stretched out to 1.16 miles when he didn't fare so well. But I like the fact those 2 horses, they're long shots, 12-1, 15-1. I'll put him with the favorite. And what do you think about that?
Well, let's give everybody names because giving them numbers, maybe by Saturday they'll forget.
Okay.
But the name of the 5 is Queen Nakia. The name of the 7 is Miss Danvers, and the name of the 8 is Halawala. Listen, I would never knock a 15-1 shot, and that's Queen Nakia, your 5 horse, and everything you said was true. The only problem I have with this horse is that since she ran those 9s last year, she's never come back to them, and that's somewhat negative. Safi Joseph claimed this horse for $25,000 2 years ago in December. And the first 2 races that she ran for him were both 9s, which is very strong. The plus about your horse, the 5, that's interesting. that I didn't even consider until you just started talking about him is that both of those nines were both run at Gulfstream. So all the bad races after that, one was at Oaklawn, one was at Gulfstream. And for the most part, they were really all run out of town. So if you're saying that maybe she's going to come back to those races because she likes the track, nothing wrong with that idea at 15 to 1. You're going to get paid if you're right. I also agree with you. I think Miss Danvers, the 7, Shug McGahee trains that horse, is going to be very tough. She's a real fast horse. But the horse that I was trying to get in the number that I think is going to be a price, even though she's only listed at 9 to 2, is the 6 horse, Bajan Girl. And I'll tell you why. If you look at this horse last year, the first time that she ran a 27 first out on the dirt, and she had all kinds of trouble. Then she ran on the grass twice. Yep. And she's obviously not a grass horse because her very next time when she ran at Gulfstream on the dirt, she ran the best race of her life by far.
And it was this distance.
And it was at this distance, exactly. Then she went back on the grass, so we're going to throw that race out. It doesn't mean anything. Then she had that long layoff, and she came back and she ran a 10 and 9 and 11.
Yep. All her best races are on the dirt.
All on the dirt and all at Gulfstream. So the way she jumped up last year and ran that 11 the first time on the dirt, well, now she's a much better horse. So I'm thinking that she has actually a shot to run a new top on Saturday. So that was the horse I was going to try to use with the 7, and I was going a different direction because the problem with the 8 horse is that she's kind of outposted. Even the 7 is breaking from a tough post to win from. Your 8 horse, who's 12 to 1, last time out ran the best race of her life. It was an 11. She figures to bounce off of that race. It was a lifetime top at the age of 5. So along with Bajan Girl, I was going to try to get Dream Marie, and I gave her a chance, the 4 horse, who I thought she's just a solid horse. She never really runs a bad race. She has a 10 last time out without Lasix. And by the way, every horse in this race is coming off of Lasix with the exception of the 4, Dream Marie, who was off of Lasix already in her last start. So she at least showed us that she doesn't need the Lasix. She ran a 10 last time out without it. So I think that's a little important, to point out to people.
Yeah, and, Dream Marie, if you take a look at Dream Marie, the horse just slowly has gotten better over her career. I know she's had a bunch of races, but she's racing right now the best she's ever raced.
Right, and you talk about a lot of races. Queen Nakia has 31 races, so she's not going to get better after 31 races. Where Dream Marie's still a 4-year-old and she has room to improve. But again, Mrs. Danvers, the 7, is definitely the horse to beat. She's never done anything wrong. The fact that she ran an 8 last time out is very strong because 2 races before that she ran a 9. So she made that little improvement, which is important. And she's just getting better at the right time. And the last time out was around 2 turns. Her previous route races were all around 1 turn. Last time she tried 2 turns for the first time, and she ran the best race of her life. That's why I gave her the edge, but she's the favorite. But I'm going to put the 7 on top of the 4 and 6, on top of Dream Marie and Bajan Girl. That's the way I was going to do it.
You're right. On top of the 4 and the 6.
Right.
Okay.
That's the way I was looking at that.
I cannot disagree. Mrs. Danvers, you mentioned about the old man, her trainer. I don't call it old man at all, do I? I look at this more as an experienced trainer here. You cannot download experience in an app. Experience is invaluable, okay? And Shug McGahee is about as good as experienced a trainer as there is out there. I really like what he's got in this horse here, this particular race. I understand he has not raced on this track. They're bringing the horse in. But you take a look here, won a grade 3 stake is her last out. That's, I think, a real good factor here. I like John's numbers here. And I was also looking at the Dream Marie horse as well. The Dream Marie horse of back-to-back rated stakes ran in the Kentucky Oaks as a 3-year-old last year, comes off a big bullet work. I cannot disagree with John's numbers in this race.
All right, let's take a look at some of the other contenders. The other favorite, John, is the 3, Arrest 2. And it doesn't have any single-digit numbers. The best that she has run, she's got a couple of 10s, October and November back to back. She's on a three run winning streak. So I'm sure that's the big reason why she's up there at 3-1. She's never run a Gulfstream. I mean, she's okay. And there's nothing wrong with her, but she's 3-1. And compared to the other favorite, I just like Mrs. Danvers better.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. And not only that, the 3 is now a 5-year. Eres 2 is now a 5-year-old. So again, she's not many races. She's 5 years old and only has been to 9 races. So that's a negative sign. It means obviously she has physical problems. She has problems making it to the races. Listen, when she runs, she usually runs well. But again, she's never run at Gulfstream. The trainer is 0 for 3 at the meet, where Shug McGahee, the trainer of the 7, has been on fire. He's hitting at almost 30%. So, that's why I'm leaning towards a 7, and that's probably why you guys are as well.
The 2 is a 6-1 shot. Gibberish ran a 9 3 starts ago. That was at Gulfstream Park. That was a win. Another horse on a 3-race win streak. Gibberish, this is also with the trainer. That is Joseph Jr., who is off to a really good start.
Safi Joseph. Yeah, he's very good. The problem with that horse is that her one and only race around 2 turns was a 16. The 9, the 11, those races you see are all around 1 turn. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. The races 2 and 3 back were run at Gulfstream Park West, which is the old Calder, and those are 2-turn races.
Well, look, the only time that she ran at this distance, she had a 16, and she finished
with
6th.
Trouble. He had trouble. That was at Indiana Downs. Listen, you can't use them all, and she doesn't quite make the cut, in my opinion.
And interesting that Joseph Jr., who trains this horse, actually trained the winning horse of this race last year. That was Cookie Dough. And Joseph Jr. also has Queen Nakia. You know what I really liked about doing it this week, and I think I'm gonna, especially now that we're thinking of doing recording these shows on Thursday night from now on, is that I was able to get I was able to take a look at the form before the odds came out, so I wasn't influenced, and I went through and I said, okay, these are the horses I liked. And then sure enough, when the odds popped up and I saw that the 2 of the horses I liked were 12-1 and 15-1, I was obviously, oh, that's good. I'm happy. But I think that's a very interesting way of handicapping races. And it's something that I think is necessary. I wouldn't do it all the time, but I think I don't think it's a bad way to kind of just go back every once in a while, especially if you're not doing too well, if you're on a little bit of a slump like I am.
Well, the problem I have with that is that price really dictates, well, to me anyway, who I'm going to bet. The name of the game.
I'm not talking about going up to the window and then saying, here it is. I'm saying just after I've handicapped.
People that are listening to this are going to go up to the window.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying after you do that, then you take a look at the odds. Then you kind of go back and you start to figure out, okay.
Well, you could always do that.
Yeah, sure.
Greg, you can always handicap the race without looking at the odds, and then go back and match up, your selections with the odds and make adjustments accordingly. Listen, everyone has their own shtick. Whatever works for you, do it. If you're comfortable doing it that way, that's fine. I prefer to see the odds, even though I usually have a good idea of who's probably going to be the favorite anyway by looking at the figures. But, you'd be surprised. So,
all right, let's turn to Santa Anita. This is a mile race, a turf race, the Grade 2 Buena Vista. And in this race...
Greg, who was Buena Vista?
Yeah.
Who Royal Delta was. I asked you who Buena Vista was.
Apparently nobody good enough to add in the in the backdrop of this race. So,
okay.
All right. So anyway, the horse that I like, the top horse, is the 2, Mucho Unusual, a 7-2 shot. So that's my top horse. I also like the 3, Warren Showtime at 5-1, and the 7, Going to Vegas at 6-1. So those are my top 3. But there are some good horses in this. This is a good handicapping race, John.
It's a great race, and I have a strong opinion in here, and hopefully I don't shoot myself in the leg. But I really like a horse in here. I love the number 3 horse, Warren Showtime. This line on the sheets is very strong. The 13 that he ran 2 starts back means nothing. That race was run on the dirt. So if you look at her last 5 races, she ran a 10 and a 9 on the grass. Then she ran the 8 last December on the grass. We're throwing out the 13 on the dirt. Doesn't mean anything. The 11 last time out was a bounce off the 8. You know, she figured to react off of it.
Okay.
It was a lifetime prop she did, and that was sprinting. Now she's stretching back out to a mile. She's drawn inside, and I think she's ready to run a new top. Or even if she doesn't run the new top and just runs the 8, she's going to win.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, the last 4 1-mile races for Warren Showtime go 13, 10, 9, 8.
Exactly. She's done nothing wrong. She's lightly raced, and she's improving with each and every start.
And you got to love 7 of 7 at Santa Anita with 4 wins, 8 out of 9 at 1 mile with 5 wins.
Yeah, you know, and the big favorite in this race is going to be the 8 horse, Charming's Mia. Well, while this horse could certainly win, this looks like a bounce candidate if there ever was one. She's a 5-year-old who ran a 6 top last time out, and that was sprinting. She's never been a distance of, well, she was a distance of ground 2 years ago at Gulfstream when she ran a 20. You know, the only reason I would make a case for this horse is because the 6 that she ran last time out was for her new trainer. You know, when a guy gets a horse and gets a top out of them, well, sometimes they figure out, you know, what to do with the horse. And obviously, she ran the best race of her life as a 5-year-old, and she ran that race while making her first start for her new trainer. So that's the only reason why I would even consider using her. If this was a horse that was trained by the same trainer, that, you know, for any extended period of time, and she comes out and runs that 6. She's got bounce written all over her. I mean, even if you go back 3 races or 4 races back when she ran the 11, she bounced to a 13. You know, earlier last year, she went 13, 15. So she doesn't really put races together. But again, the only reason I would even consider using this horse is only because of the big race was for the new trainer. And she also gets a big positive rider switch today. She goes to Flavian Pratt, who won 11 races over 3 days last weekend. So, you know, for that reason, I'm not going to throw her out, but I love the 3 here, Warren Showtime. I think this horse is, you listen, you're going to get a price. And I just think that she's really sitting on a big effort, and I expect her to run really well.
Yeah, Charmaine's Mia, the problem is definitely the odds at 3 to 1. Because
and the problem is stretching out to a mile, because if you look, she's been running 5 furlongs, 5 furlongs, 6 furlongs.
Yeah, and that's the point, is that if you're gonna, if you're gonna, we have to deal with that. Then you're talking about a horse that, I mean, all you have to do. Sometimes I think you can overlook this, and what I'm talking about is the horse is only run once at this distance, not in the money,
and it was good.
And
it was 2 years ago.
lifetime. 5 wins in 26 starts, only 2 wins in 13 on turf, and this is a 3 to 1 shot. And just like you said, you got to go. You got to open things up a little bit more. I look, if we're dealing with a 5 or 6 to 1 horse, that's a different thing. But at 3 to 1, come on, that's a little bit too low for me.
It's going to be a lot shorter than 3 to 1. You know, you missed the wedding last time out. She went off 16 to 1.
Yeah,
Saturday,
there you go. That's right.
Be 6 to 5.
Yeah.
You know, you missed the wedding. Don't show up for the funeral.
Yeah. Mark?
Hey, John, let me ask you this question. You mentioned Charmaine's Mia has bounce written all over her. It kind of ties into a question that I got on the playbooksports.com website. The question I got was from a fella in Cleveland, Ohio, Mark Bepin, and he asked, can a horse bounce if he ran his best race, his best lowest number race, but did not win the race? The other part of that equation is Charmaine's Mia. You're talking about bouncing, but bouncing off a 6 furlong race as opposed to going a mile in this race. So the horse can bounce off a 6 furlong race even though he's being extended?
Yeah, bounce is bounce. It does, when you bounce, you're looking at the numbers. You're not looking at where he finished, where the distance he's running in. You're betting that you're calculating that he's going to bounce off of the last race that he ran. He doesn't know that he won or lost the race. There are horses that win races and know that they won, but for the most part, horses aren't that smart, but they don't read a racing form. They don't know where they finished, and I'm basing the bounce off of the figure compared to his other previous or her other previous races, not off of where she finished, but the final number. Our sheet numbers are final numbers. They're not, that's what they are. They're final numbers. And the final number is by far the best race that this horse ever ran in her life. So the answer is yes, you could bounce even if you didn't win. She happened to have won. A lot of times horses that run tops win with those races. If they're the best racer that they ever ran. People always have this theory that after a maiden breaks his maiden, they say, well, he just broke his maiden, throw him out. But what's really the theory behind that? The theory behind that is that he broke his maiden by running the best race of his life. So people don't realize the reason that they don't win off the maiden. They don't win off the maiden win because they're bouncing. Not because they won the race and they can't win 2 in a row. That's ridiculous. That usually when you win a race, you probably ran the best race of your life, especially young horses that break their maiden. So they go, oh, he just broke his maiden. He can't win. Can't win because he ran a top and he's bouncing, not because he broke his maiden. You understand?
So would you say then, for most intents and purposes, that horses that break their maiden are most susceptible to bouncing, is what you're saying?
Because they ran a new top that day when they broke. It took a new top for them to break.
Do that.
Well, that all depends on the number, though.
Yes, but a lot of time when you win a race, you didn't run a bad number.
More than likely,
it happens.
Sure.
Of course, it happens where you run a bad race. Well, you run a bad number and win a race. But usually, if you're winning the race, you're running the best race that you've ever run as a maiden.
But it's still more important to look at the sheet number than go, hey, he won, he broke his maiden, so I'm not taking him.
No,
yeah, we want to know what the number was that he ran.
Handicapping rules. There are people that have general handicapping rules, and these write these books and everything else that goes with it. But they don't even know they come up with the right answer, but they don't know how they got to the end. You understand what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying here. It's like picking a football game. Some people pick the winners, but don't even know how the hell they picked the winner. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Right.
You came up with the right answer, but so now tell me how you came up with that answer. But it doesn't matter. You had the right answer.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You mentioned Pratt, who is jumping on board, Charmaine's Mia. Pratt actually won this race in 2017, 2019. So he's going to look to do it again in every other year if he can win with Charmaine's Mia in this one. D'Amato won this race back in 2018 with the horse Fault. All right, now let's take a look at some of the other horses in the field. Again, Mucho Unusual, my pick, the number 2 at 7-2. And the reason I like this horse is pretty simple. I look at last year, every race with the exception of the grade 1 win at Santa Anita, she ran all in single-digit numbers. I mean, so this is by far the most consistent top sheets horse in the field. She's also 9 of 9 with 5 wins at Santa Anita. She's got herself a really good trainer. The jock won last year's race with Keeper of the Stars. So, yeah, I think overall I like the consistency with the numbers from last year. Getting almost 4-1 is not bad either compared to the favorite we just talked about.
Greg, are you going to play that horse if that horse goes off chalk? Favorite?
No, Charmaine's Mia is going to be the chalk for
sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
the problem I have with your horse, Craig, is, well, first of all, here we go again. Everybody is off of Lasix in this race, with the exception of Mucho Unusual, who didn't run on Lasix last time out. And what happened? She actually ran the worst race that, even though she won, figure-wise, she ran the worst race that she's run in a while. She ran the 12. Prior to that, she had two
Yeah, it's
nines,
funny that
right?
her two 12s were both wins.
Right. Her two 12s are both wins, and they were both paceless races. If you see the P in front of the number, that means it was a paceless race. They went real slow, real early. So,
Obviously, soft fields.
right. Well, they weren't pressed early, and they were allowed to lope on the lead or whatever it was. And now, so those figures came up slower because they were paceless. The problem I have with your horse, Craig, is that she has that 5 races back, and she hasn't come back to it. And she's now a 5-year-old. So even though she looks great on paper, and even though she looks okay on the sheets, she still won last time out with a slow number. So you're going to lose value because of that. People they don't know that the number was slow, but they see the win. So they're going to back her up and now she's going for her third one in a row. I just think that Warren's Showtime is stronger. I know your horse has 9s and my horse only has 1-8 last time out.
No, I have both horses. I didn't say that that's my top horse.
No, I understand. And also Warren Showtime happens to be 5-1. Mucho Unusual could win. Don't get me wrong. She could win. But I'm nitpicking here, and I'm really...
that's just like the last race. I've got one favorite with the 2 long shots. This one I don't have 2 long shots, but I don't have a heavy favorite. But I've got the second choice, Mucho Unusual, with the 3, which you have, and also the 7, the 6-1 shot going to Vegas. What I like about this horse is I think she's starting to improve, and I think she's racing the best that she's raced in her career. If you take a look at it over the last, since the start of 2020, she's gone from a 19. Now she's down to 11, 12, 10. Since the horse was claimed, Gutierrez jumped on board. 5 straight races, 5 straight in the money, 4 straight running second. Getting 6-1, 6 out of 7 at Santa Anita with 3 wins, 8 out of 9 at a mile with 3 wins, and also improving each race overall when she comes to Santa Anita. So I think a very solid 6-1.
She's fine, and as a matter of fact, if you put her sheet next to Warren's Showtime sheet, they're really kind of similar. You see, Going to Vegas has that 11, 3 starts back and move forward to the 10 minus, which was a new top. Same thing with Warren's Showtime. She ran the 9 and then worked her way to the 8.
Yep.
So they're similar. The patterns on the sheet are very similar. The only difference was that Warren's Showtime was a little faster, and she was drawn inside. Going 2 turns at a mile is you want to be as close to the inside as possible. So that's why she's a little stronger than your horse. But there's nothing wrong with going to Vegas.
And the other horses that are right now single-digit odds, you have Nasty at 6-1, you have Red Lark at 8-1, and Setamar at 8-1. Red Lark has a couple of 9s recently, followed up by an 11 last time out. Nasty, the 4 horse, has never run a single digit in her life. So I don't know why she's 6-1, but anything with those 3 horses that intrigue you?
Not really. They're a little slower, and the odds are no better than the 3.
Yeah.
So why would I want them? Yeah, exactly.
All right. So again, what are you doing in this race, John?
I'm just going to bet the 3 to win. I'll take a win bet on the 3.
All right. Now I'm going to go.
If I can, 5-1. If she's 3-1 or 5-2, I don't need her. But I really can't see her being short.
Not in this race. And I'm going to go 2-3-7 in this one. So, and then what's that?
An exactly box?
2-3-7 box. And Gulfstream, I had 5-7-8 box, and you had 7 on top of the 4 and the 6.
Correct.
And next week is going to be a big week of Gulfstream. Is that Florida Derby week?
Yes, it is. Fountain of Youth or Florida Derby, one of those two.
Which one of the?
What's the difference?
No, it's
on Saturday.
It's the Fountain of Youth. They run that progression: Holy Bull, Fountain of Youth, and then the Florida
Youth
Derby
next week, and a bunch of other stakes races. So that's probably where we're going to be picking our races from. John, appreciate it as always. Mark,
thank you, guys.
Playbooksports.com.
Mark, perfect. Thank you, guys.
And again, remember what I said at the top, and it still applies, of course, and that is the promo. Don't forget that you can pick up a full card of selections for any track, a $25 value, and you'll receive a second track for free. And the offer is for same-day races only.
That's a heck of a deal.
Great
Yes,
deal.
it is.
Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you next week.
Guys,
Have a good one, guys. May the horse be with you.